Hi everybody, it's Stephanie from Stellium Astrology, and today I'm back again. I haven't had a chat with somebody for a while on my podcast, but I've invited a guest that came back. You came on quite a long time ago. This is Lianne McCafferty from Lianne McCafferty Astrology, and previously we talked about Juno, didn't we?
Yeah, that's a while ago now.
A very long time ago. And you've been so busy since the last time I spoke to you. You've been traveling all over the place. I think we were in Turkey at the same time, but I wasn't there for astrology. I was there for social reasons, and you were there doing astrology, weren't you? Representing, weren't you?
Yeah, I was at a conference.
Yes.
So that was in Istanbul. So that was like really amazing.
Such a great place.
Yeah,
I loved my holiday there. It was so great.
Yeah.
And you've also, I don't know whether you'd achieved your black belt last time we spoke.
I got my black belt about 3 years ago now, and now I've got the second level of black belt. So I'm
oh my gosh,
on second.
She didn't stop. She carried on going. Okay, so don't pick a fight with Lianne. And have you published 2 books since then as well?
Yeah, in the past year I published 2 books. I published my Juno book, which is more of an academic non-fiction book, and then I published my first fiction novel at the beginning of this year. So what's the
name of your fiction novel?
The 13th Degree of Knowing, and it's kind of all wrapped around the myth of Lilith, to be honest.
Oh, lovely. Interesting.
So
I do need to get round to, there's so many books that I want to read. I've just read, do you know Adam Ellenbass?
No, I don't think so.
He's an American astrologer, and I met him when I went to India, and we've stayed in touch. He writes for the Mountain Astrologer. He's contributed to a couple of issues, and I thought I'm going to read his book. He's written it's a sort of like autobiographical work that explores his relationship with ayahuasca, and I loved it. So I do try to get around to reading the non-astrological texts that people put out as well, and I will get round to reading yours soon, I'm sure. So
I'll send you a copy.
Oh, this is the benefits. Yes, please. So today we decided we would talk about something it could be in the realms of Lilith in some ways, couldn't we? She is a bit of a fallen angel, isn't she?
Absolutely.
I happened to be watching one of your videos on Facebook, and you were talking about, did you happen to fixate on the 22nd degree of Capricorn?
I did. Like so many of us, I've just been watching the news and all the Epstein stuff.
Yes.
All of these people in positions of power, and I'm like, this goes bigger and deeper beyond just what we're seeing on the surface. And we know Epstein seems to have infiltrated every area of society and government. I think it was when the Mandelson situation blew up, and we found out how much Peter Mandelson had been involved and given Epstein information. And I'm like, Epstein was probably tampering and influencing the markets, the stock markets for years and years. So I was just like, this is so much bigger than just the sex trafficking, which is horrendous in its own right. But I think Epstein had his fingers in every area of the political world, the economic world, whatever. And then I was just like, right, this is a big deal. It's big. He's exposing even more rot in society. And I just kept coming back to that Saturn-Pluto conjunction we had in Capricorn back in 2020. Capricorn, and we won't forget it, was lockdown and COVID. But that was the first time we'd had a Saturn-Pluto conjunction in Capricorn since the 1500s, since 1518.
Right.
600 years. So this was a massive historical.
And for Jupiter to be involved as well, I think it was something like 635 or 636. It's like a really huge cycle. I thought it was the biggest cycle that you could get until, well, not necessarily the biggest, but, I thought, well, that's a huge cycle, until I was looking into the Saturn-Neptune conjunction at 0 Aries and realizing for it to have done that cycle right back to the beginning, it's something like 6,000 years. And I was like, okay. Shall I pull up Epstein's chart?
Yeah, that would be great.
Let's get his chart up and have a little look. Where are we? There we go. And so what's interesting about that 22nd degree of Capricorn, not just the Saturn-Pluto conjunction, but the fact that that's where my Lilith is. So the fact that we talked about Lilith to start with, I was always really interested with what was going on there. And my interest, is there anything on the chart you want me to pull up? What points do you want to look at? I think I've got that's mean Lilith, I think.
I use mean Lilith.
Okay.
It's Mercury sat at 21 Capricorn. Picking up that 22 degrees of Capricorn from that Saturn-Pluto conjunction, what is threatening the downfall of so many people? Data, emails, information. It's so material. And Epstein apparently had cameras in all his rooms. He's got videos and documentation of all of these people. He was
and it's that with Chiron as well, like opposite Uranus. Like this is like technology and in Uranus in the sign of Cancer, like this is about security.
Well, it is the technology in his houses. But I just thought that was incredibly interesting. And then when I went to look at his progressed chart, he's actually got his progressed midheaven at 21 Capricorn at the minute.
Is it? Let's have a look and see. Why not? Let's get it.
And he's got
pull it out. So we've got
22 Taurus forming a trine.
Where are we? So progression, secondary progressions calculate. So and the Chiron there as well.
So that's going to be coming and hitting that 22 degree trigger in the next year or two. And like I say, Jupiter at nearly 22 of Taurus forming that trine, and it's all coming out in the courts now. And I just think this man is going to be so formative in the future of politics. The abuse of power, these autocrats and plutocrats at the top of the mountain, those Capricorn power hungry people who display the very worst of Capricorn, the very worst, and that they're all trying to cling on to the top of the mountain,
Isn't it funny how the lowest vibration have made it to the very top in the material aspect of Capricorn, in the very physical material way? But actually what they're doing to do that is, by all accounts, black magic, like this very dark practice, worship, which if you want to break it down to something that's very I guess say easy to explain, but maybe easier to understand, is that the rituals that they're doing, if we want to remove any kind of expectation from it, sometimes what people have to do is to involve themselves into a ritual to shed any kind of centralized belief about themselves in order to transcend human behaviors, morality, so that they can embody, almost NLPing themselves into becoming a role of somebody who doesn't hold more humanitarian values. And excuse me, Kat.
Hello, Kat.
Like, I want to talk about this. It's really interesting. But yes, it's a lot of the people that got involved in this stuff and got sucked into the top tier of all of this stuff, they are people who maybe once got into politics for the right reason. And Jeffrey Epstein seems to be the person that Stanley Kubrick was referring to when he was creating his films. He said that he saw what happened at the top and he didn't like what he saw. He was very much somebody who wanted to tell the truth about what he was witnessing. And he insinuated that people were being blackmailed in order to keep secrets. And to me, I think that they get involved in these things, some good people as well. And then they get to a point where they're put in a situation that they feel obliged, because if this guy can traffic and control people, everyday people, why would some politicians, some celebrities, they be any different? They could also be in a very vulnerable position themselves without realizing initially.
Absolutely. It's the grooming's gone on various levels. It's not just the grooming of the young girls. He's been grooming politicians and celebrities and people in powerful positions in businesses. financial institutions. He's been grooming them all and manipulating them all. And I actually think he's an incredible, was, he might still be, who knows, with all the rumours, is he dead, is he not?
Well, who knows anymore?
Exactly, who knows? But an incredibly intelligent, clever, smart man. And if that intelligence and his, you know, what he was motivated for had been turned to good use, he could have been a fabulous power in the world, bringing positive change, positive constructive change. But instead, it went to the dark side.
Yes, yeah, it's that Harry Potter tightrope, you know, all the best characters in films, like Wolverine as well. It's like they could be one side or the other. They're very aware of that fine line between the right choice, like between choosing the light side or the dark side, you know.
Yeah.
Luke Skywalker, classic example.
Exactly.
And you know, it's but I do really believe, and I suppose this is what the Masons talk about a lot, is this kind of checkerboard floor type of, you know, playing chess, the light side, the dark side. One can't exist without the other. And I had an incredible experience back in 2013. It was a really long time ago. I won't go into too much detail now. But I had a very amazing experience where I got some answers to some big questions. And one of the big questions I had was, why does such evil exist in the world? And this is after the Jimmy Savile stuff came out in the world. I was just, please help me understand why these people have suffered, why he was allowed to perpetuate these crimes, why he was allowed to get away with it under the noses of royalty, under the, you know, the legal professions. Like, everybody let him get away with it. And, you know, the answer that I received was that, you know, every action has an equal and opposite reaction. The universe is literally a duality. If you have high practicing spiritual, righteous people who truly want the best for everybody and are truly selfless, you are going to have the opposite that exists as well.
Yeah.
It doesn't make it any better, but it's a universal truth.
Yeah, it's like heaven and hell, God and the devil.
Yes.
You know, they can't exist without each other type thing.
Exactly. And I think that plays into the Saturn-Neptune, the sense of this Saturn-Neptune conjunction at 0 Aries, and quite the rupture that it's caused in a spiritual sense to people, because they're saying, wait, what are they doing? What's happening in these secret places? What are these rituals? Who to? And suddenly going, so if they're doing that and they're extremely powerful, they're extremely rich, they've reached these great heights of power and untouchable status, does that mean the opposite is true too? Like, you know, we've been, as a society, I think science has become the dogma mostly for a lot of people, and anything else has been laughed away. Like, you know, oh, how could you believe in that? Or how could you believe in astrology? Or how could you, all of these different belief systems or, you know, thoughts, you know, that come up for people, they kind of say, well, no, let's look at this under a scientific lens. And actually, how can you explain this one away with science? What I mean, you can try if you like, but what we can talk about the process and the practices that they're doing from a scientific perspective. We can look at it as you know, like neurological, neuro-linguistic programming, and like helping them to become bigger than they are and all of this stuff. But what we can't answer is whether or not they really are working with something beyond our perception. And this is the challenge, I think, for a lot of people now who are looking, they're searching for something to make them feel safe. They're searching for truth, because this has brought out a level of darkness that I don't think any of us anticipated, actually.
I think a lot of us suspected it was going on, but it was kind of sort of boxed into like, oh, you're getting into conspiracy theory.
Oh, big time. Yeah.
You know, all the rumors of, you know, sacrifices and things like that. Hey, they may well be true. But you're right about people searching for truth, because obviously we've had Neptune in Pisces for a few years, and Saturn was there. And, you know, I think people have lost faith, especially in politicians and leaders, and don't know who to believe, don't know what to believe. And one thing I found interesting the past few months, coinciding with this Saturn-Neptune conjunction, is the fall of so many idols, you know, falling from grace, especially in the wellness industry. So all these top gurus like Deepak Chopra and people like that. Yeah. And apparently behind the scenes, it was an incredibly toxic industry. And these so-called gurus, idols, who were sort of promoting all the ideas of how to make you whole and, you know, that type of thing, they was corrupt and as ambitious and as power hungry as the likes of Epstein or Trump or the other politicians, you know?
Yeah.
I think that there's just been an unmasking of those who were seen as untouchable. Yeah.
Big time. Yeah. It's the final degrees of Pisces and that whole Saturn being there and Neptune was really interesting to me, because in a real nutshell, and I've recorded a thing about this for my patrons, a friend of mine went missing for a really long time, and he surfaced when Neptune went into Aries. But his sort of disappearance was completely mysterious, and none of us knew. All we knew was he sailed off. Get this for Pisces, he sailed off on his boat, and we didn't see or hear from him again. And we were like, where is he? What's going on? And it was unfortunately, it was a very tragic ending. But you know, it just adds to that kind of sense of, you know, illusion, delusion, this kind of cloaked reality. And I think all of these revelations that we've had, when it started out, I think they've always been sort of, you know, whispers, like things around the Jersey Children's Home and all these kind of like things, you know, over the years and around. For me, I kind of got on this pathway in the very early 2000s, but I know it was going on a lot longer than that. It was just about the time when I was able to do my own research and come to my own conclusions. But when it really became sort of publicized in a bigger way was I think it was 2012, the Jimmy Savile stuff. And then that was when Saturn was in, he had his Saturn move over his sun, so it was around, I think his sun's at 28 of Scorpio. And that's when he passed away on his birthday, I think, or just was it his birthday? It was just around his birthday in 2011. And then 2012 was this kind of like period of revelation around what he got up to. And it brought in so many people, because it was like, well, it was happening here under your noses in the BBC. And that all happened. And then when Jupiter went into Scorpio, which I'm going to say was 2017, I think that was when the whole Harvey Weinstein stuff started coming out, I believe. I think on the day that went in, it was either the day or first few days of it going in there, Harvey Weinstein was all over the place. You know, they're talking about all that stuff going on in Hollywood. So it's interesting how it's a very watery subject, and it's I think it's because it just evades accountability in a sense. Like there's just, I suppose what we're talking about here is how people have got away with this stuff, how they've been allowed to do this stuff. And they've done it under the illusion, the cloak and the smoke screen of television. Charity. Yes. You know, all of these things.
These Messiah-like people almost who are untouchable. But I think the even deeper layer there is, you know, Pluto went into Capricorn, 2008, and that's kind of setting the backdrop, you know, pulling out all the rot associated with Capricorn. And it is that patriarchal abuse of power. And in a lot of cases, it was about the abuse of females. Not always. I'm sure there's plenty of, you know, males being abused as well, but very often about the female thing. But there's almost this, you know, no one would hold them accountable, right? And I think that people naturally like to gain approval from people, especially people that they hold up on a pedestal. So and then, you know, these people on a pedestal somehow would emit some sense of fear that if you stood up to them, something bad would happen to you, you know. And again, that sense of you know, needing approval, particularly, you know, that so many women still conditioned to need approval from male figures in their life, you know, that type of thing. So I think there was a fear that people wouldn't be believed as well. If he's so powerful, no one's going to believe me.
Yeah.
And then we come back to Lilith, where if women sort of blew the whistle, if you like, it's an Eris kind of thing as well.
Oh gosh, I've got so much to say about that.
They'd be demonized. They'd be demonized.
Yes.
Again, it's like, no one's going to believe me. They're just going to make out that I'm nuts, I'm mentally ill, or
But this is the thing, it's not without its reason, because there's been, I can't remember the name of the supermodel, but there was a supermodel years back, I think in the 90s or something, who spoke out.
Yeah, is it Karen Newell or Karen? I know who you mean. Yeah.
In a mental institution and told she was crazy, and she was abused. These things happen. I remember years ago now when the Savile stuff was happening, and there was a guy, it was a guy actually, it wasn't a woman, but there's plenty. It's just vulnerable people that can be easily wiped off of any kind of record, children that grew up in care homes and stuff that haven't got anybody looking out for them. And I can't remember this guy's name, it was Bill something, and he was talking about the PDF file, I'll call them just in case this gets banned, PDF file information exchange, so it was called PI. He was talking all about that. I can't remember his surname now. He was so vocal, and then he just went missing. And like these people, they get deplatformed. I'm going to ruffle some feathers here because I'm going to talk about Alex Jones. Now I know there's very strong feelings against Alex Jones because of the things that he says, like in particular the whole stuff with Sandy Hook. I think the guy had a bit of a psychotic episode, but who can blame him when he knew all this stuff that was going on? He was he was the initial person that went to Bohemian Grove and saw the rituals going on, was like broadcasting this information, and people were like, well, what are they doing there and why do you care? Well, this is why. So there's lots of people out there that were speaking out, but then they get silenced, they get deplatformed. So you can understand why people feel like, well, I can't, how can I be taken seriously? I will be ridiculed, I won't be able to work, and that's the best case scenario.
It's like, well, the likes of David Icke, I think some of this stuff's really interesting. I think some of it is like that, like the lizard stuff. I'm
waiting for that to happen now, because I'm like, everything else he said has happened, so I'm like, I'm looking at them and I'm like analyzing them. Like, I mean, Mark Zuckerberg is questionable, come on.
Well, exactly
Look at him.
But even like David Icke gets labeled as nuts, and I don't think he's nuts. I don't necessarily agree with some of his theories, but a lot of what he says, I'm like, yeah, that's interesting. I'd like to look into that more.
Yes.
But the latest bunch of files over the past few days that have just been released, the Epstein Files, which include more sort of really awful allegations about Trump. The girl was interviewed by the FBI, but basically she was labelled as unreliable, mentally ill. She was from a sort of impoverished background, an unreliable witness.
This is how they discredit anybody. They'll just discredit them by saying, yeah, well, she was just crazy.
Yeah.
The girl was crazy. I a little while ago, because we could go into the realms of MK Ultra if we wanted to. I think the lady's name is, there's a few of them. There's one called Kathy O'Brien, and she spoke out. I think it was Kathy O'Brien that spoke out about MK Ultra back in the 90s before they confirmed that it was a real thing, because she was one of the people that was involved in MK Ultra. And it's one of those things where you think, like, I shared something that she said with my partner, and my partner's a very sort of the earth, very earthy person, and he doesn't. I'm like 8th house Sun, 5th house Scorpio Moon, Saturn Pluto conjunctions.
Give me a conspiracy theory.
Pluto square my Mercury, so I'm like always like exploring. I don't take things at face value ever. And I shared him this video, and then I shared her Wikipedia page without reading anything about it. And her Wikipedia page says she's crazy, she's a conspiracy theorist, this, that, and the other. And my partner went, "Did you read that page?" And I said, "No." And then I looked at it and I was like, "Oh, well, of course it's going to say that about her."
Yeah.
They don't want you to believe what she's saying.
Yeah.
So but I pulled up Donald Trump's chart anyway, because he's an interesting one, isn't he?
Just a bit.
Put it bluntly.
Very, very, very mercurial, isn't he? Very,
oh my god!
On that eclipse there.
Yeah.
Gemini axes. That's why he's always changing his mind and flip-flopping and talking with his hands and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
But what I find really interesting in his chart, right? So he's got this Venus Saturn conjunction in Cancer.
Yes.
opposite that 22 Capricorn degree. All right.
Oh yes, of course.
Yeah.
Easy to not see that, isn't it?
Yeah. And, you know, Venus Saturn themes, you know, in Cancer, there's a disconnect from the feminine principle, perhaps.
Yeah.
We could talk about that Venus Saturn all day. But what's interesting, what's blowing everything up at the minute is Jupiter going through Cancer, because Jupiter has and will be again opposing and triggering that 22 Capricorn degree. I've got the dates here, actually. Let me have a look. Yeah. So I did have them. Where are they? I've got dates in my head everywhere. Yeah. So Jupiter first opposed that 22 Capricorn on the 3rd of October last year, when Andrew was stripped of his titles and evicted from the Royal Lodge, right?
When did Virginia Giuffre pass away? Because I think her book was released in October as well, and that was released under what did they call that, dead man's trigger, which is where basically she said to her publisher, I don't know if you've heard any of that book or read that book, I'm listening to it, and I can usually burn through books, but this is a tough one.
Wow.
But yeah, I think it was released in October, so that also would be an interesting thing to coincide with that transit.
Absolutely. Then when Jupiter went back over that, triggered that point retrograde, that was the 20th of December. And on the 19th, thousands of Epstein documents were released.
Wow. So just so you know, her book was released on October 21st, 2025. Right. And it's like, I haven't even reached the bit with Prince Andrew or Epstein or Ghislaine Maxwell at all yet. Right. And already I'm just like, it's so hard. It's so hard. That poor girl.
Yeah. It's horrendous. And again, she was demonized. She was labeled with so many different labels.
What's hilarious is how, I don't know about yourself, but me, I was watching going, well, obviously she's met him. There's photographic evidence. Yeah. Like, I believe everything she's saying. Why would she lie?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's like, this is one thing that really boils my blood as a woman, okay? Yeah. Is how these people, you know, the elite people, the people in these positions of power who discredit people, they assume that you're stupid. And I find it so insulting when people assume that I'm stupid as a person, but mainly because I'm a woman as well.
Yes.
And it's just like, it's the brainwashing. It's the collective brainwashing and gaslighting. It's gaslighting at the deepest level. And we know Trump's quite capable of that with his with that charge, without a doubt. You know, but it's just horrendous. And you know, Virginia Giuffre's death, we'll never get to the bottom of that. You know, it was alleged. No, but who knows?
Yeah, I know. Terribly sad. And such a powerful book to read. And I'm not even, I don't know how many chapters I am in, but it's so difficult. And you've in the book. So as I'm listening, I keep thinking, you just need to run away. You need to get away. And then I think, but that's what she did. And look how it ended up. Like, I not to want to try and romanticize it in any way and take away from the impact, but almost I feel like the only way I can get through this is to think that her job is one of destiny on this planet, and actually she is the catalyst that brought everything down. The importance of her role in society is so huge. She is the true awakener of us all. I mean, you know, like at first she was just, who's this girl? And then the next thing you know, we're talking about her more like she's not necessarily the hard evidence that's come out, because it's not, she can't prove anything. And that's how they hang on to their credibility, if that's what you can call it. But the fact that she has had the strength to go up against the most powerful people, and let's face it, potentially the most powerful people in the world, because
Yeah.
I mean, it seems like Jeffrey Epstein had more power than all the people that we look at as being powerful.
Oh, he was above the royal family. He was on another level altogether. And for her, she's a heroine, an absolute heroine, and she is going to be a pivotal historical figure.
Big time.
And where she found the courage to do what she did, I don't know, but it was.
I think it's her Sun Eris trine. I think she's got Lilith opposite her Sun.
Yeah.
I feel like those two things are huge for her. And I think this month I might be I think it's on the 16th, I think, but I can't remember, it might be the 19th. Around that time we've got a Chiron, Eris and Venus conjunction. So that's coming up, and that's quite a big deal. I think that it speaks volumes for this period that we're in, and the kind of the voice of the oppressed feminine, you know, or I want to say repressed, but I think that it's been oppressed as well. You know. Hello, Archer. You got something to say about this?
Absolutely. There'll be lots around the feminine principle with that as well. But you know, you were talking before about the balance of good and bad, light and dark type of thing. She is almost like the antithesis. I can't even say that. Or antidote to the dark side of all the Capricorn stuff. You know, she's brought the light.
Yes, and funnily enough, she's got a Saturn-Pluto conjunction in her chart. So you look at that and go, that's quite heavy. But she's using it for good.
She is, but it's such a signature, that Pluto-Saturn signature. And it's actually square, more or less square, that 22 Capricorn. Pluto-Saturn is what, 27?
Yes, so it's ever so slightly past it, but it would have been activated at that time. It was hugely activated. So and she, I mean, it became more and more. I don't know, when was it she got her payout from Andrew? She got 12 million, didn't she?
I think it was around 2023 or 2021, something like that. Don't actually quote me on it.
I may have it somewhere, because I make these little notes. I'm not sure if I do now. I make these little notes here, and then I think I touched on it somewhere. No, I'm not sure whether I can see it here. 12 million. Oh, March 2022.
All right, I was kind of there.
Yes, it's thereabouts, isn't it? So, and that would have happened just past the Jupiter Saturn conjunction at about, was that 0 or 1 degree of
Aquarius,
and so interestingly, it's that early degree. Interestingly, but also in Aquarius, where Pluto was moving. I think that was prior to Pluto moving in. It was, wasn't it? Yeah, it was prior to Pluto moving in, and actually very close to like Epstein's Jeffrey Epstein's degree of his sun, isn't it? Close enough.
Yeah, he's got
he's 0 degrees. So I've just pulled up 3 charts here, and actually the one around the outside is Ghislaine Maxwell. I will, by the way, if anyone's listening to this, I will share the chart data. I might even stick a little blog post on my website so that I can link it, so it makes it a bit easier. But Ghislaine Maxwell, now I've just got something really interesting to share about her that maybe some people do know. I don't know how widely publicised this is, because I don't really follow the actual news, because I just literally cannot. I've got a 12th house Chiron and I just can't. But yeah, basically, one of the things that I found the most interesting of my recent discoveries was that she, obviously her family were in publishing, and it's said that her family, you know, rewrote textbooks in schools and had the ability to rewrite history if they want to. But what I found interesting was that she was kind of very instrumental in the establishment of Reddit, and that actually she was very, very active on Reddit. They what was her handle? I can't remember it now. You can have a look. Now, I don't know how much evidence there is to support this, but there's been some research done, and it is said that she was a leading moderator on Reddit up until the day of her imprisonment. And she was also she moderated a world news page on Reddit, which had millions of followers. So the control of information on Reddit, even, which I love Reddit. I'm not active on Reddit in a contributory sense, but actually I'm on there reading Reddit all the time. Like, I'm really into it. And she had a massive influence over the flow and permission of information on that site. And most AI tools now, when you're receiving responses from AI and ChatGPT and all of those websites, they draw hugely from Reddit. So what you are receiving is information that was once moderated and controlled by Ghislaine Maxwell up until her imprisonment.
That's terrifying.
Which to me is mind-blowing, because it just goes to show the power that both Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell had on the information that we were allowed to receive, the things that were broadcast to us in any medium, and even up until today. You know, if you're using ChatGPT, it does pull from Reddit, it does pull from all these different sources, but the majority of it has been overseen at some point by Ghislaine Maxwell up until she was imprisoned, and who knows where she is. I saw the other day she's walking free in Canada somewhere, and she's not actually, like,
who knows? Who knows? But
who
again,
knows?
That goes back to how Epstein, the amount of power in every aspect of society, he was influencing everything.
Yeah. We could say that Pisces, Neptune in Pisces, I think a lot of people referred to it as the age of the influencer, didn't they? Instagram really, I think was it established in 2011 when Neptune went into Pisces, or that's when Facebook bought it. I can't remember which, but that's when it went through its I suppose its establishment period, its transformation into the Instagram that we know today. And who knows what is going to come of these sites now that this information has come out. I don't really know how they're going to evolve and what's going to happen from this point forward, but it's interesting watching the journey of the evolution of the new news feed, the awareness that they had that this is how we get our information. Let's bombard, let's saturate with information, let's make them question reality, question the truth. It's no wonder that we're all kind of in a suspended state of trauma. Like, nobody knows what's real anymore.
No, they don't. And it's like this subliminal stuff being fed into our minds all the time. Just just scrolling through on Facebook. I don't recognize hardly anything on Facebook. I have to actually go and search. I can just go in and see if any of my friends have posted something new, and I have to do it manually. But if I just go through my feed, it's just ridiculous. And I'm like, well,
it's advert after group after, it's like they don't really, it's almost like a sense of disconnect and a sense of like, it's hypnotic trance. That's basically it. They've got to a point where we are not engaged really anymore. And we are kind of in a trance whenever we access any kind of social media platform. And I think that's why lots of people return to things like Reddit, or they return to things where they're not just constantly bombarded with things, and it's like a bit more human, despite the potentially inhuman entity that was involved with it. Gosh, I don't even know. I don't know, was there anything else you wanted to touch on, or anywhere else you wanted to explore while we're here?
No, I think we've captured the gist of it. It's just how pivotal this period in history is for us, just on a society level, but astrological as well.
Yes,
astrology is so rich for anyone that's interested in it, and we're living through astrological shifts that we'll never live through again in our lifetimes, and our grandchildren won't necessarily. It's quite profound when you think about it like that.
I keep thinking to myself, during the pandemic, I remember prior to that, I was always saying, I am so, like, my biggest fear is a pandemic. I'm so scared of a pandemic. Like, it was my worst case scenario. Like, we've all got our thing that we're frightened of. I was always like, I don't want to live through a pandemic. And then the pandemic happened on my Lilith, and I was like, you know, like the Saturn Pluto conjunction happened on my Lilith, and all of that sort of like went into, and prior to that I had all of this stuff that pointed towards that degree, and I just kept thinking, well, what's that all about? And I just kind of feel like, to make peace with that as well, I kind of thought, well, I guess this is what we signed up for. You know, we're here. If astrology has kind of shaped my thought process, my mindset in any way, it's that there's a sense of experience that we come to live through and work with, and we have the choice of picking the light side or the dark side. We can walk the tightrope between, like Wolverine or Harry Potter or Luke Skywalker, and we have the choice at some point to be tempted to have that forbidden fruit, to go into that dark side, whatever, or to, you know, walk into the light and, you know, do what we can to improve the environment that we have come to and leave behind a positive legacy. I mean, the legacy we're being, the legacy that is being left now by the leaders, you know, it's the stuff of fiction, like horror. You read it and you can't believe that this stuff is real, and it's happening. So I guess we're being given an opportunity to rewrite now. But I don't think anything's going to happen. This is the creative phase. I don't think anything's going to happen, really. No real action is going to be taken until at least Aries season. I think we're all kind of a little bit asleep right now. And when we have that, the vitality, the spring equinox, when Mars is a much more proactive sign, maybe just maybe.
I totally agree. I think we're still at the end of all that Pisces energy, and we're still
dreamy.
Sleepwalking. We're still sleepwalking a little bit, and we're still not. It's still a bit foggy, isn't it?
Yeah,
but you can sense something new building. And you're right. I think when we get into the spring and past the Aries equinox, and I think as well when Jupiter shifts into Leo later this year, you'll feel a big shift, because that will be the last of the water, if you like, for a while.
Yes,
and it's going to be really interesting when Jupiter goes through Leo and triggers all those Pluto and Leo generations, because there's a lot of top leaders in the world have that Pluto and Leo.
Yep, so you're right. That's really very true.
Interesting this summer.
And let's not forget Uranus is going back into Gemini for keeps this time.
I know.
Oh my gosh.
I know. It's really exciting, and you know, it's like we're all ready for some change, and I'm sure you know there's going to be good change, and there's going to be more challenging change, but at least it's going to have a different feel to it, you know, which is I
just feel like we've been caught in a rip curl for a while, haven't we? We've all, like, it just feels like everything's the same, it's repeating.
Groundhog Day, it's Groundhog Day, isn't it?
Groundhog Day. Oh, exactly. So yeah, fingers crossed, at least we'll feel a little firecracker under our bum, or at the least the very embers, the very start of something, a little bit of kindling under our bums when the sun enters Aries, and then when Mars goes in, well, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, exactly. You know, it's a bit slow burning at the minute, isn't it? But there's a little spark there, but I think at some point it's just going to go.
Yes, exactly. Well, thank you so much for coming on and chatting with me. I know we tried to do this before, but Mercury retrograde had his way with us, but it's been so lovely catching up with you, and honestly I feel like we could have spent the whole day talking about this. There's too many rabbit holes to explore.
I mean, we've just scratched these charts, you know.
I know
we could have spent sort of an hour on each chart, couldn't we?
Yes. You know? Oh, definitely. So it's a whole weekend's worth of discussion, and it's too much. We're talking about a whole period of time here that just deserves a deep excavation.
And is that the event chart for today, or
that's just us. That I just did that from when we were talking about the current transits. So I was just looking at the moon in Sag, and I was thinking, here we are making our predictions about what could be coming.
I'm just looking at the moon right on top of Lilith there, and how Lilith is manifesting.
She always wants to get involved. I don't know what it is with Lilith, and this is why I did a class for her for the LSA. She demands my attention. I feel in the way that you connected with Juno, and you know, some other things, I think that they speak to us when they want to be heard. And I have had this relationship with Lilith for a very long time, and I still don't feel like an expert in the area, but I feel like whenever she's around, she needs to be heard, and she being one of the fallen angels, and refusing to go back. I wonder why.
We must honor Lilith. I think we've got a lot to thank her for, and that's why I wrote a novel about it.
I really can't wait to read that. I'm really excited to read it.
Oh yeah, send me your address afterwards and I'll send you down a copy.
I shall. All right, well, thanks very much, Lianne, and hopefully speak to you soon.
Take care to all your viewers and listeners.
Yes, thank you.
Bye.
Bye.